In this tutorial, we're going to go over how to model this Garmin GPS. So the first thing you're going to do is open up Solidworks, and you're going to want to create a new part by clicking here where it says part. If, let's say, you don't see this welcome screen anymore, you can go over here to File, New, and it will come back up and you can click Part. I'm going to click OK. Now I'm in this workspace to create a new part, and I want to show my planes just so I can see what's going on. So I'm clicking on the planes and then clicking the eyeball to show each plane. I'm going to start by creating a sketch picture on the front plane. In order to do that, I'm going to click on the front plane. If it's highlighted orange, then I'll know that I'm selecting the front plane. Then I'm going to click this the second icon here, which says sketch, and that will allow me to create a sketch. I want to insert a picture here to use as an underlay for my sketch, and I'm going to do that with the sketch picture tool. So here in the search commands box, I'm going to click, and I'm going to start typing the words sketch picture, and I see it come up here. So I'm going to click that sketch picture tool. This is allowing me to browse for an image that I've already downloaded, which contains the picture that I want. And I want this front picture here, which I've already downloaded. Now what I need to do is I need to make my picture the right size because it's really huge. So the width or the height that I'm aiming for is 2.93 inches. And then I'm going to click this box to unlock the aspect ratio so that I can get the the width exactly what I want. And I want that to be 4.75. Now the problem that I have is that it's over to the right, but I actually want it to be centered. In order to center it, I want this to be negative 4.75 divided by 2. And you can see that just moves it to the center. Now the last thing I want to do is make it transparent. So I'm going to click the full image, and then I want my transparency to be 0.6. And that will make it easier for me to work with this sketch picture. So now I'm going to click the check to complete that, and then I'll exit the sketch by clicking the exit the sketch button up in the left, or over in the top right, I can click this. Now I'm going to add another sketch picture. This time it's going to be on the right plane. So again, I want to highlight over the right plane, click on it when it's orange, and click the sketch button. Now I need to get the sketch picture. I'm going to delete the word sketch because it just won't search with that again. Search for the sketch picture tool. This time I want my side picture. So for the side picture, I have, again, the same height, which was 2.93 inches. I'm unlocking the aspect ratio, and the width this time is 0.76. And the distance I want on X. The distance this time is fine because I do want it to be kind of behind this plane, but I want it to flip because this is actually the back of the GPS over here. So I can flip it by clicking this button, flip horizontally. And then again, I can make it transparent to 0.6. And I will again exit the sketch, this time with this button. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rename these sketches just by double clicking them. So this one was the front picture and this one was the side picture. That way I just won't forget if I want to hide or show these later. You also notice probably that my planes got really big. You can adjust the size of your planes just by clicking and dragging at the corners. So I'm going to kind of get them down to a more reasonable size with my GPS here because they're a little bit crazy. Okay, that's better. Oh, now I'm going to make sure that I save my file because I don't want to lose it, obviously. So I'm going to save it as whatever you want to name it, and just make sure that you keep saving as you go because SolidWorks will not automatically save your work, so you need to be the one to do that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create some reference planes, which I will then use in the construction of this model. So I can create reference planes by clicking here under the reference geometry and clicking plane. So right now it's assuming that I want my first reference to be the front plane, but I actually don't want that. So I click the front plane and I'm going to click delete. It's just that the front plane was selected before. If you had a different plane selected before, it might have populated that box with a different plane. But I'm going to click here. Make sure that your first reference box is blue. That means that it's selected. And then I'm going to click here in the top plane. So now it says the first reference is the top plane. Then this D1 is the distance that I want to offset my new plane from the top plane. And the distance that I want is 2.93. And if I were to click this flip offset box, it would go the other direction. But I want it to be here at the top of my GPS. So I do want it in this direction. And I can click check to complete the creation of that reference plane. And now I can rename this plane. So I'm just going to name it height since it is at the top height of my GPS. Next, I want to create a plane that's going to be a reference off of the front plane. So if I want to, I can click the front plane right now. Then if I click reference geometry plane, it's already put the front plane here as the first reference. The distance that I want is going to be 0.76. And this time I do want to flip the offset because I want the plane to come here to the back of my GPS. Okay, now I can label this plane as the depth plane. And I do want to create one more plane over here on the right. So this is going to be offset from the right plane. And this one's going to be 2.375. And then I can call this one width. And I'm just going to go ahead and get in the habit of saving my file as I go. All right, there's some more planes I want to make, but before I make them, I'm going to make sure that I'm viewing my model from the right. So in order to do that, I can click here, the view orientation, and click here on the right. I want to make sure that I don't click this display style because that will make my model look transparent later and it might make me get confused. So make sure that the display style you have shaded with edges, which is the top option, but here, this center box, which kind of has a transparent box behind it, this is the one that you can use to change viewpoints. So be careful because those two buttons look really similar. So the next plane I want to make is going to be an offset from not the width plane. So I'm deleting the width plane. I want to offset from this plane here. And the distance that I want to offset is 0.12. And that's not exactly where I'm aiming. I'm going to flip the offset. So I'm aiming, here I'll show you. We're aiming for this line here where this bevel ends on the front of the GPS. So I'm going to click the flip offset and then I've got it aligned right there. Click check. Then I'm going to go ahead and name this one front edge so I don't forget. The next plane that we're going to want to make is an offset of the front edge plane. So again, if we already have that selected, that'll be convenient. When we go here, we're referencing the front edge plane. This time the distance that we want is 0.16. And we need to flip the offset again because we're aiming for this, this parting line in the center of the GPS. So we want the flip offset so that our plane is lined up with that line there. And click check. Now we want to make one more plane. This one's again going to be referencing from the front edge. So we've got front edge here, and the distance is going to be 0.325. Again, flip offset because we're aiming for this kind of where the back bevel starts. So we've got that. Now I can rename them. I want this center one to be called part line. And I want this last one to be called back edge. Now we've got all our planes and sketch pictures set up, and it's time to start building the GPS. So the first thing we're going to do is create a sketch on the front plane. So an easy way to do that is to come over here, click on the front plane, and click sketch. And you can see that my Solidworks automatically gave me a straight-on orthographic view of the front plane to sketch on, which is convenient. So I'm now going to make a rectangle. So I'm going to come over here to the top. These are the different sketching tools I can use, and I'm clicking corner rectangle. This is going to allow me to basically, I can click one place and draw a rectangle, and then click again when I want it to stop drawing. So I'm going to undo what I just did, but I'm getting the rectangle, and I want to draw a rectangle that's going to basically encapsulate this whole side, this whole right side of the GPS. I'm going to go ahead and click here, like hovering over this plane so that it's orange, and that'll make it coincident there. Then I'm going to hover down here again so that this line on the right is orange, which is one of the planes that I made. Now I'm going to right click and get the arrow for select. I want to make this line, the top line of my rectangle, collinear with this plane. So I'm going to click this line. Then I'm going to hold down the control button on the keyboard, and I'm going to click this height plane when I'm hovering over it and it's orange. Now you can see that this line is light blue and this plane is light blue, and they're both selected here in the selected entities, height and line 1. And I'm going to go ahead and click this collinear button to make them collinear. And you can see that that line jumped down to hook onto the plane. I'm going to do this. I'm going to press the check mark. I'm going to do the same thing. So I click this line in my rectangle, I hold down the control button on my keyboard, and I click this top plane. Then I'm going to come over here and click collinear and push check. So now I have my rectangle, and it's all lined up with each plane that's bounding the GPS. Now I do have one problem, which is that the corners of my GPS are round, but the corners of my box that I just drew are pointy. So I'm going to use this sketch fillet tool to round the corners. A fillet is like a rounded edge. So it's asking me for the fillet parameters. Right now it has 0.1. I'm going to change that to 0.3. And entities to fillet, I'm clicking in this box, and then I'm going to click basically the two sides of the corner that I want to become round. So I'm going to click this top line and then this side, and you can see now I have this yellow rounded corner that's like a preview of how my sketch is going to change. And I'm going to come down here and do the same thing. So you should have two yellow rounded corners, and then click check. And now it changed the black line, which is the actual sketch, to match up with the outline of that picture, which is showing us the shape that the GPS is supposed to be. Okay, I'm done adding the sketch fillet, so I can click this green check mark, which will exit that tool. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude, which is basically like stretching this sketch straight out into space, perpendicular to the plane that the sketch was drawn on, in order to make a 3D shape. So I'm going to go to features, and I'm going to click extruded boss base. This is showing me a preview of how it's going to look. So right now you can see it's extending out forward from the sketch that I just drew. I actually want it to go the other way, and I have a specific distance that I want, and that distance was marked. I'm just doing this so you can see. That distance was marked with this plane that we made right here. So we're going to click in direction 1, we're going to click up to surface. And the surface that we're going to select is going to be this back edge plane. So if you have trouble selecting the back edge plane from here, which you'll know that you're hovering over it and it turns orange, then you're going to select it. So I could click here. Another thing I could do is I could come over here to this tiny arrow and drop down. And now I can choose the things from this list, and I could choose back edge from there also. And then I'm going to click check. And now I have made this solid chunk that was basically like stretching my sketch out back till I get to the back edge plane. I'm going to go ahead and save my work. Now I'm going to make another sketch on the front plane. So again, I can click the front plane here and click sketch. I can zoom in to look at it by scrolling my mouse. And I'm going to get this rectangle again. This time I want to trace kind of this, this outline here. So I'm going to just click to be coincident with the center plane. I'm going to click when it's orange. And then I'm going to stretch all the way over here to match up with what I'm seeing in the sketch picture. And then I'll click again to end the rectangle. So I want to add a couple more dimensions. I'm still in the Smart Dimension tool. I'm going to dimension from this line to this plane. I want that to be 0.25. And then I'm going to dimension from this line to this plane. Oh, I don't think that worked. It's showing the wrong place. So I'm going to press escape. Try that again. This line to this plane, that's better. That should be 0.14. Now I'm going to use the sketch fillet tool again to round the corners. This time my parameter I'm going to put at 0.175 inches. And I'm going to click the two lines that I want to fillet, and I should see a yellow preview. And then again the same. So the fillet, again, I can also change this later. Like maybe I thought, oh, 0.2 is better. I could change it to 0.2, change it back to 0.175. So you don't have to fix that first, but that's just what I did there. So now I'm going to press the check mark, and then I'm going to exit the sketch. I'm going to get a different view so that we can see this better. So if you go to View, Hide Show, and if you don't see File, View, Insert Tools over here, if you hover over the Solidworks logo, then they should show up, or if you hover over the little house. But you can click View, Hide Show, and click Hide All Types. Oh, now my sketch is not showing, which is making it tricky. So I clicked my sketch, and that should show you what I'm trying to do. Okay, while I was checking this part, I realized that I actually didn't put my sketch 3 on the right plane. What I meant to do was to have it on, I'm going to just show you everything again. So I'm going to hide all types. I meant to have that one on this plane here, but on the front edge plane, but I put it on the front plane. So what I can do is I can go over here. If this isn't showing, you can click this drop down arrow under Boss Extrude 1 and click this sketch that's under there, and I can click this button that says Edit Sketch Plane, and that will actually move what plane I had the sketch on. So you can see I have it on the front plane. I'm going to click that and press the delete key on my keyboard. And instead, do you see this? Basically, we're trying to make this shape right now, but we needed to backtrack. So instead of putting that sketch 3 on this front plane, I want it to be on this plane. So I'm going to click this plane instead, front edge, and I'm going to click check. So now you can see our feature is thinner and it's just right there. And our sketch 4 is out here in front. So what we want to do next is we want to basically make a shape that stretches from this sketch 4 onto this other sketch, or onto this solid piece that we have. That's what we're trying to do next. So now I'm going to go here and do the hide all types. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to do the lofted boss base, and we want to have sketch 4 as the first profile. And again, if you don't see sketch 4, you can get it from here, and your sketch may have a different name, but it's just that most recent sketch that we made. Then the next thing I want to do is click on this face, the front face, not the side, the front face of this Boss Extrude 3. And that should be correct. It's not showing us a preview, but we'll see if it works. So we're going to click the check. Okay, it wasn't working. I'm clicking again. So now you can see that this preview, it looks really strange. Like it's all twisted, and that's not what we want. So in order to fix it, I'm going to drag this green dot over here, and you may or may not have to do that. But do you see now that these two green dots on the two profiles, which is sketch 4 and face 1, now they're right next to each other and the line going between them is going straight, instead of if this green dot is like over there, it creates this weird twist or fold. So if yours isn't looking normal, try dragging the green dots so that they're up and down from each other. Now this is how you want it to look. It's showing us a preview of the solid that it's going to create. So again, we have sketch 4 and face 1. If you click the wrong thing, you can click here and delete what you have and then click it again and bring it back. And then when you're done, you can click OK. So now what we have looks like the front kind of edge of that GPS. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make the back of the GPS. So I'm going to do that by sketching on the back edge plane. Oh no, actually on the depth plane. Okay, and I'm turning around so that I can see it from the back, from where I'm trying to do it. And I'm going to use the offset entities tool. So to use this tool, I'm going to just click on basically like a continuous chain of edge pieces. So you want it to be highlighting orange before you click. So this edge, click. This edge, the little part of the circle, this one. Then down here, I'm going to keep clicking when it's highlighted orange on the correct edge. And now I should have this preview of this yellow chain. If you make a mistake, you can click, oh, that wasn't what I wanted to do. Okay. I'm going to click Control Z. If you make a mistake, that might be the best thing to do is click Control Z. So I'm going to click the offset entities again. That brought back what I had. So I'm now going to change my parameter to 0.25 instead of 0.1, and that just brings it in a little further. Something that also could go wrong at this phase is if you had the reverse button checked, it could end up outside of your GPS, but you don't want that. You want it to be on the inside. So I'm going to press the check. Then I'm going to get this sketch fillet tool again. Now I'm going to get these two edges for the sketch fillet. So these two straight edges, and then I want the fillet parameters to be 0.125. And again, I also want this one down here, clicking those two lines, and then I can click check, and then I can click check again. Then you can see we have this little bit of our sketch that we need to get rid of because we're not using it. So I'm going to click this and press the delete key. And I'm going up here to do the same thing. I'm going to delete this little piece of the circle with the delete key. Now before I exit this sketch, I do want to close up this big shape that I've got. So I'm getting this line here. I'm going to click that dot, and then I'm coming down here. And once I'm hovering over this dot, do you see that orange? When I'm hovering over the dot at the edge of the bottom line, then click, and that will close it up. Now I can go ahead and click the check mark and exit my sketch. So I still have this view that's not showing my planes. If I want them to come back and go to view, hide show, hide all types. And now everything is back again how it was before, and we can see my sketch here in gray, the sketch that I just made. So once again, I'm going to make a lofted boss base to make a solid piece that stretches from this body that I have already made to this new sketch that I just made. So I'll click here, the lofted boss base. I'm going to click this back face, so face 1, and then I'm going to click the sketch that I just made. And do you see again the green dots with a straight close line between them? And if you have a green dot like over, it will look all twisted up. So click and drag your green dot to get it straight across from the green dot that's on the other profile. So you want those two profiles, then you can click check. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a part line feature on the GPS. I'm going to hide all types again just so that you can see more easily what's going on. So this is going to be drawn on the part line plane. Clicking that plane and then I'm clicking sketch. And I want to again use my the offset entities tool. So I will click here, offset entities, which is just now waiting for me to select like a chain of lines. So I'm going to hover over this, not while the whole thing is like light orange, but while this one area is a more bold orange. And I'm going to keep clicking this chain of lines when it's in bold orange, like this. Yep, that is good. So right now you can see the yellow preview that it's pointing outside the GPS, but I actually want it to go inside. So I'm going to click reverse, and the distance here that I want is going to be 0.01. So now this line that I'm drawing is actually inside of the GPS, like 0.01 inches down from the edge. So still in this sketch, I'm going to click check, that confirming that yes, the offset entities is how I want it to be. I'm going to click here and get the front view. Again, be careful. If you accidentally click this display style, you could make it look like this, and that might be throwing you off. Or you could make it look like this. You want it to be up here, the top display style, shaded with edges. Okay, so we're still in this sketch. We're looking at it from the front. We want these lines, and I'm just going to be basically making a big box around my drawing. And I'm just clicking. You don't really have to only click when the parallel line things are showing up, but that's what I'm doing. But the main thing that I need to make sure of is that I connect right here. I need to connect to this dot that is part of my sketch. So I don't want to connect down here to the bottom edge of the GPS. I want to connect here to this black line, but on this dot, because the black line was my part of my sketch. So my sketch should be connected up here to this part, and it should be connected down here. And if it's not connected, that's going to cause me problems later. So I should have this whole sketch, which part of the lines are black. That was my offset entities, and then part of the lines are blue. So the next thing we want to do is use the sketch that we made to make a cutout along the edge of the GPS. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this extruded cut tool. And I had already had my sketch selected, but if you didn't, you would need to select it here. And the next thing that I want to do is make sure that the direction is right. So the direction I want is mid-plane. That's basically going to have my sketch centered and cut out evenly from both sides of my sketch. Then for the distance, instead of 0.1 inches, I want the width of this cut that I'm making to be 0.01. Now it's going to cut straight out from my sketch, 0.005 on each side to make a 0.01 thickness sketch that's going to cut all around my GPS. So I'm going to click check. So we can see here that it made this little kind of indentation or a little inner ridge all the way around the side of the GPS based on that sketch that we had. Okay, now I want to see again what's going on. So we're going to view, hide show, hide all types. So we want to make this, this indentation that's around the front. So to do this, I'm going to make a sketch on the front plane. And I'm going to use the offset entities feature again. and I'm going to be offsetting this edge here that we've already got. So again, the same as before, I'm clicking each edge in order, and I'm clicking only when the part I want to click is shown in the thicker orange. I'm going to click the reverse because I want it to be going in from the sketch that I had there, and I want it to be 0.03 is the distance that I'm offsetting it. And then when I'm done, I can click check, and then it should turn black, and it should show that it's 0.03 offset from that other part. Now I'm going to click on the Features tab, and I'm going to do this extruded cut. So this time, I'm going to use this thin feature option. And this is basically, since I just have a line that's not a closed loop, I can't make an extruded cut with just a line, but I can if I use this thin feature option, which will basically just extend my line into like a thick line that's going to be cut out. So for my thin feature, I want this to be 0.02 as basically the width of this thing. So you should be able to see it got a lot thinner when I click that, and it's more lined up with my sketch picture. So that was telling us how wide basically we want it to be. Then for the direction 1, blind is correct, and we want this to be 0.01. So that means it's going to be cutting in to the GPS 0.01 inches. So now I can click the check, and that will make the little indentation. And then if you want to see it better, you can again go to the hide all types. Okay, so now we have this little kind of groove in the GPS, and we also have this parting line on the outside. I'm going to save my progress. Now I'm going to show all my types again, and I want to sketch on the front plane. This time I'm going to be tracing this window where the picture is, so I'm going to get the rectangle tool. I'm going to click when it's overlapping with the orange, which is that center plane there, and I'm just estimating where that screen ends. Now I can use the dimension tool to get things more precise. So smart dimension, I've got this and this height plane up here. Click over to the side, and I want that to be at 0.15 and click check. Then we've got this line here and this plane that's on the far right. This dimension is supposed to be 0.38. And the last dimension we want is this line to this plane, and that should be 0.43 inches. And that completes the sketch that we want here. So I'm going to click Features, and this is again an extruded cut. And the depth of this cut that we want is going to be 0.09. And that's going to be cutting into the GPS by 0.09. I'm going to hide everything again so that we can see more clearly what we're doing next. So what we want to do is we want this, we want to add drafts so that these parts, instead of being like straight up and down at a 90-degree angle to the screen, are at a less severe angle. So I'm going to click this tool here, which is for draft. It's asking me here what should be the neutral plane. I'm going to choose from this drop down here. I'm going to choose the front plane. And then here is where we're supposed to put the faces to draft. So the faces we want are going to highlight in pink. And the angle that we want, instead of 1 degree, we want 20. Let's see. So you can see now this, instead of being a 90-degree angle, it's more subtle and it's more gradual, the transition right there. So now we're done with this draft. We can click check. And the next thing we're going to do is get this fillet tool. And the fillet is like a rounded corner. So the corners we want around are this one. Again, I shouldn't click now. I want to wait till I have this little piece of orange line to click. So don't click until you're highlighting the right thing. I'm going to highlight this little orange line. Should be thick orange. There we go. So it's previewing in yellow. If it's not previewing for you, that could be because you have this no preview shown. So you want to have full preview if you want to see what you're about to do. For the size of this fillet, this parameter, I want it to be 0.05. And then I can press check. I'm going to do another fillet or another rounded edge. This one is going to be this whole edge here. And this one I'm going to have the size be 0.01. So you can see it's pretty little. Again, if you're not previewing, toggle these. Then when you've got that how you want it, click check. I'm going to do another fillet, so I'm going to round another edge. And that one, I'm going to select this front edge right here, this edge, and then this edge back here. So I'm not choosing the ones by my parting line in the middle, but I've got kind of 3 other edges, and you can select multiple edges in one fillet feature. And for the amount for these, I'm going to put it as 0.02. And I'm going to press check. And then last, I want to add a fillet back here on this kind of sharp edge. Oh, so see, I clicked in the wrong place. I wasn't being careful. I clicked face 1. And that's going to fillet also this, which is going to give me a problem because I'm going to be reflecting this GPS across this center plane here. And if I were to do that, there would be a weird round part in the middle. So I need to delete, using the delete key, that. And I just want this edge, not the face. That's right. So I want my yellow preview to be going only around that and not in the middle. And the size for this one is going to be 0.08 instead of 0.02. Okay, now as I just mentioned, you probably noticed we only made half the GPS. That's because it's symmetrical, so we only needed to make half, and now we can mirror it. We're going to mirror it by clicking that mirror, and then it's asking me what face or plane do I want to mirror across. I'm going to choose the right plane, which you can see is in the middle. And right here it has me getting a feature to mirror, but that's not what I want, so I'm deleting that. Instead, I'm clicking down here, bodies to mirror, and I want to mirror this body, which is the whole GPS. And you can see that yellow preview again that is showing what's going to happen. And then you just want to make sure that you have the merge solids box checked, and you can click the check. And now we have a whole GPS. So now if I want to be able to add this picture on the front of the GPS screen, I can go to Tools, Add-ins, and click this Photo View 360 option and click OK. Then I can click up here to Photo View 360 and I can click Edit Decal. So I need to choose my decal here. I'm going to click Browse, and I believe I have my decal in the same folder that I had everything else in, so that would be the main screen. And then I need to make sure that I'm on the right face. So over here, I had the image, but in the mapping tab, I had the wrong stuff selected. I had I had mirror 1 selected, which isn't right. You don't want that in there. You just want the face one. I'm going to delete all that. Let's try again. So the reference that we want is just this face. And then we can click fit width to selection. Let's see if it's looking straight or not. Okay, it's not looking straight to me. So in order to make it straight, what you want to do is click here and click label, and that should straighten it out. And I'm going to do the fit height to selection also. That will just fill in that whole face with this label. Okay, so I'm going to click check on that decal. The next thing I can do is go to the display manager, and I can click here. If I want to add a light, I can like brighten up the view of my GPS. So you can click a directional light. So if I just right click here, I can get add directional light, and that makes my GPS all bright. And you can uncheck the lock to model, and then you can like turn the model within the light. Next, the actual color of the GPS is darker than what we have here. So I clicked this like colorful ball, which is the appearances tab. I'm going to get like a plastic. Let's see, I clicked the medium gloss plastic, this dark gray should work, and I can drag it over to this. Oh, that didn't give me what I wanted. I wanted on the whole body. So I'm going to undo that. Oh, it took away my directional light. I'm adding that back. Okay, I'm trying again with my, I'm clicking check on the light. I'm trying again over here with my plastic. I'm just going to put it over this. That wasn't working great for me, so I'm going to try again. I don't think it put my color on. So I'm right clicking on this. I'm going to choose this appearances right here, and I'm going to choose from that little drop down arrow, body. And then for the body, let's see if we can get it to give the plastic. There we go. So that is the darker gray that we wanted for the GPS. And that's it. We can now save our file, and we're done with this part of the tutorial.